The last thing that I want to show you guys today is what does it look like if we want to continue to push the customization and the structure of our reporting? Well, often the answer is if you really want to have that flexibility in design to really have, some really complicated things in Excel, and you want to bring them in and take advantage of all the solutions here in the cloud, we may recommend what's called dynamic planning. And what I'm going to do is explain the key differentials between the other reports I've showed you and dynamic planning. So if I pull up a report here, and again, all of this is just easy to access commands here in the menu. So I've just gone from dashboards to reports straight into dynamic planning reporting. And you'll notice things look a little different. It's much more like Excel. I've got my cells, I've got my formula bar, whereas before I had my report, row set and column set and page. Here I can actually decide on what cells do I want drop downs. I can combine more of that dashboard style presentation with the deeper analysis. So I'm going to zoom out a little bit so you can kind of get a full degree of what you're seeing. All right, I'm going to zoom in. But I still have the drill through, right? I can still make comments on these reports. So I'm not losing a lot of those key features. I'm just changing the style of view. And if you really enjoy Excel, then what I will say is, let's take the same thing and do it here in Excel. So I'm going to show you the same tool, except what we call Spotlight, which is an Excel add-in, allows you to have this tool here in Excel. So now I'm looking at it in Excel so that when I'm customizing and formatting this report, I have a more familiar set of tools to work with. Obviously, a lot of these exist in the cloud, in the browser, but I'm just leveraging my Excel familiarity as I build it. But the key thing here is we talk about version control. We talk about user security. We're not leaving the application. So don't get that mistaken. By coming to Excel, I'm not leaving Planful. I'm just changing the way I view Planful. And so now we're engaging it the same way. We can drop down and have those options, look at sales, drill into the data. What does it take to build a report like this? So I showed you how easy it is to drag and drop those report sets. Now let's do a little bit more of an ad hoc analysis as we round out our conversation today. So I can go into Analyze, and it's going to bring me right to this tab where I have an Analyze view. So I'm just looking at a starting view. You can see there's pretty much nothing here, and we're going to build it together live to show you what it takes to throw together a Spotlight report. So first things first, I'm going to drag and drop some things around from my page to my rows or my columns. And I just click and drag, and I have it here on the page. So if I click into any of these, you're going to see I have some options. So I'm going to pick net operating income. I want to kind of avoid the statistical data for this specific example. And I don't like having time and account on the same spot. I'm actually going to click time and drag it as a type of header. And I want my actuals to also be here as well. So I can come in here and I say, okay, let's create this report. Let's start making this more flexible. So I've got my starting place. Now let's think. I want to see, okay, what does net operating income make up of? I can zoom in and zoom out the same way we were drilling into those plus signs on the reports earlier. So I click plus, and I see this is what makes up my net operating income. Gross margin, OpEx, right? Makes sense. What if I don't want to keep zooming in and I want to skip some things in between? Because if I click zoom in here, I'm going to see Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4, but I can skip it and go directly to that lowest level, which is the months that make up the quarter. So you have a lot of flexibility in the way that you build these reports. So let's do this. We're building this report here. Now let's add a little bit more design to it. So I've got a few options as I start designing the format of the report. I can create a standard report, which allows it to exist both here and in the browser that you were just looking at, or I can put these into presentation style reports where they're going to live in purely in Excel, PowerPoint, or Word. So I can put this straight into a PowerPoint slide and build my tables and my charts in PowerPoint through the same add-on. So all of your presentations, whether they're in a Microsoft Office product or in the browser, all have access to Planful's data and functionality. So I'm going to keep it in a report because I like the flexibility of being able to access it both here and in the browser. And so now I'm in design mode. And here I can come in and I'm just going to leverage the tools I'm familiar with. Let's merge and center. Let's make this bold. I can actually hit Control B and I can come in here and let's do some centering and some highlighting, right? Okay, so now one of the questions my clients always ask me is, do I have to go back to that previous view to add more information? Watch this. If I want to do copy and paste, and now instead of referencing actuals, I want to see what my budget is for the end of the year. So I go into this design manager and I change my scenario. So this one's going to be my forecast. So I come up here and I say, okay, 2021 forecast. So this is my forecast. So I'm literally copying and pasting that data. And when I hit run, it'll update it for my latest numbers. So that's really how easy it is to create these reports on the fly. So I could save this report, I could run it, and I could get that data. And it's going to look very similar by the end of the time I'm done with it to something like this, where I'm comparing these numbers, doing it in the browser, accessing that shared folder.